As night fell, large piles of golden corn stalks lined both sides of the highway, stretching far into the distance, an empty and desolate scene. In the twilight mist, cooking smoke drifted over the nearby village, lending it an hazy and mysterious air. At the checkpoint, the police officers on duty kept their eyes wide open in the darkness, vigilantly watching every movement around them, not daring to relax for even a moment. At exactly 8 p.m., a red Santana taxi approached to within 100 meters of the checkpoint and suddenly accelerated. "This car is definitely suspicious. Stop it immediately," said the checkpoint duty squad leader. "Pull over. Routine inspection," two young officers shouted while waving their flags to signal the vehicle to stop. To their surprise, the taxi showed no intention of stopping and forced its way through the checkpoint. Officer Lu Jinggang failed to block the vehicle and, in desperation, fired a warning shot. After the gunshot rang out, the taxi sped up even more. The narrow road twisted along the dizzying V-shaped valley. The taxi weaved wildly along the path in its frantic escape and soon disappeared from sight. The checkpoint officers had noted down the taxi's license plate number. Zhong Chun felt the gravity of the situation. After a moment of silent reflection, he said, "The person who forced his way through the checkpoint is very likely one of the suspects in the 9/7 major case. He might have come to hide stolen goods in the mountains, or perhaps to make contact with Zhu Jingmei. In any case, he is undoubtedly connected to the 9/7 case. There's no question about it. We must find this person as quickly as possible." However, judging from the warning shots fired by the checkpoint officers, I believe this uninvited intruder has now been pinned down in the mountains. The mountains are covered in thick thorns, steep and rugged, and with the road sealed off, he has no way to escape. Investigators quickly traced the taxi's license plate and located the driver. "Why did you run the checkpoint? The police fired a warning shot and you still didn't stop?" the case officers asked during interrogation. The taxi driver looked very aggrieved and helplessly replied, "That man held a knife to my neck and forced me to run the checkpoint. If I didn't, he would have killed me." "Do you know him? Where did he get out of the car?" "I don't know him. After driving a few kilometers, he forced me to stop again, so I had to pull over. I have no idea where he ran off to." The driver's attitude was neither humble nor arrogant, insisting he didn't know the man. Zhong Chan said decisively, "The taxi driver and the person who ran the checkpoint must be very familiar with each other, perhaps relatives or friends. Otherwise he wouldn't have risked his life to help him break through. But we can't waste time on the driver right now. The urgent priority is to locate the man who ran the checkpoint." The task force decided to reinforce the checkpoints to prevent any further breaches. They analyzed the situation. There were gold mines in the mountains and gold was being produced. The man who ran the checkpoint had likely gone into the mountains to find someone who could melt down the stolen goods, process them physically, and then fence them. Zhu Jingmei was in the village. This intruder was very likely the gang's primary suspect, Hao Jinsai. In an instant, Shuiliandong town became a key battlefield. At dawn on the 19th, flashing police lights and piercing sirens echoed as several police vehicles roared into Shuiliandong town. Chen Wenqing, director of the Guizhou Public Security Bureau, led the entire bureau party committee members and more than 400 officers, all dressed in camouflage and armed with submachine guns, completely encircling the town and conducting house-to-house searches. Zhu Jingmei leaned weakly against an old, crooked willow tree, her heart empty. Her spirit was on the verge of collapse. She could no longer endure those terrifying nights. She had finally come to understand that today's outcome was something she should have foreseen long ago. She had never intended to betray her lover, Hao Jinsai. She decided to honor the gentleman's agreement their gang had once made. At dawn on the 19th, as the rooster crowed and the first light appeared, Zhu Jingmei's trembling hands brought the packet of powder Hao Jinsai had left her to her lips and swallowed it. Before daybreak, the sky, the waning moon, the mountains, the fields, and the scattered houses in the fields were all shrouded in gray. As the gray dawn gradually turned golden, the investigators, who had not slept all night, discovered Zhu Jingmei beside a ditch near her sister's house. They immediately rushed her to the town hospital, but she died en route. The doctor's diagnosis: suicide by poisoning. After Zhu Jingmei's suicide by poison, this lead was once again cut off. The task force analyzed that Zhu Jingmei must have held some of the stolen goods, and would certainly have handed them over to a family member before her death. On the morning of the 21st, they summoned the panicked Zhu Jingwen for questioning. "Did your sister give you anything to keep?" the investigators asked. No, she didn't give me anything," Zhu Jingwen replied, sitting there in a daze, desperately trying to hide her nervousness. Whenever her younger sister was mentioned, tears streamed down her face uncontrollably. Normally calm and composed, Zhu Jingwen was overwhelmed with grief over her little sister's death. Think carefully again. Zhu Jingmei is a suspect in several robbery-murder cases. She must have had some of the robbed gold jewelry in her possession. Those are stolen goods. If you are holding them and don't hand them over, you are committing the crime of harboring stolen property. After a long silence, the simple rural woman finally told the truth. "On the 18th, my sister Jingmei gave me a package and asked me to hide it for her." "Where did you hide it?" "I hid it in a crevice among the rocks at the edge of the village," Zhu Jingwen said, crying. Guided by Zhu Jingwen, the investigators found the small package hidden in the stone cracks among the ruined walls at the village entrance. Inside the many layers of wrapping were 4 gold rings, 1 platinum ring, 1 pair of platinum bracelets, 1 gold chain, and 2 gold Mao Zedong badges. 9 pieces of gold jewelry in total. Deputy Bureau Director Zhong Chun immediately called Weihai and described the models and characteristics of the 9 pieces of jewelry to the Weihai Task Force Command. Weihai replied, "Those 9 pieces match the jewelry robbed from the Huanyu Gold Store in Weihai. They are confirmed to be part of the stolen goods." On the 20th, the task force headquarters issued an order. All township and town police stations and public security committees in Gaizhou were to assist the public security organs in Chenli searching for and apprehending suspects Hao Jinsai, Li Zhengxin and Jin Songgue, with rewards offered to the public for information leading to their capture. At noon on the 20th, a villager herding sheep on the mountain reported to the checkpoint officers, "While grazing my sheep on the mountain, I saw a man wearing a green cotton coat." The joint task force analyzed that the man in the grass-green cotton coat, who suddenly appeared in the mountains, was very likely the one who had run the checkpoint. A small team was immediately dispatched to the location the shepherd had indicated. At 3 p.m., they finally located a person moving very slowly. He looked pale and extremely exhausted, clearly physically drained. The intruder never expected real armed Gaizhou criminal police to appear so quickly. Panicked and helpless, he had no choice but to surrender quietly. The intruder was indeed the primary suspect, Hao Jinsai. That evening at 8 p.m., the small team escorted him back to Gaizhou City. In the interrogation room, Zhong Chun sat calmly in front of Hao Jinsai and asked in an even tone, "Hao Jinsai, I believe you're a smart man. You must know exactly why we invited you here, right?" Hao Jinsai gave a cold laugh and said sarcastically, "Winner takes all, loser is the bandit. Since I've fallen into your hands, there's nothing more to say. You're quite straightforward. Then go ahead and confess the several cases you committed." Hao Jinsai only admitted that he had organized the 3 home invasion robbery-murder cases, but refused to provide any detailed account. "Where did you put the gold and jewelry stolen from the Huanyu Gold Store in Weihai?" Zhong Chun suddenly asked. "The gold isn't in my hands. I gave it all to Jingmei." Hao Jinsai's facial muscles twitched a few times. Guessing that Zhu Jingmei was already dead, he simply insisted that he had given all the gold and jewelry to her. Zhong Chun shouted sternly, "You're lying. Items worth over 1 million. There's no way you would hand everything over to one woman. You alone know where most of the gold and jewelry is hidden." Hao Jinsai put on an aggrieved expression and said, "Sir, that's really how it is. I really did give it all to Zhu Jingmei. I swear to heaven, it's the truth." Knowing that Hao Jinsai was still clinging to hope, Zhong Chun pointed out, "Zhu Jingmei still has a mouth. She can speak too, right?" Hearing Zhu Jingmei's name, Hao Jinsai involuntarily shuddered. He thought to himself, "She's not dead? Impossible. She must already be gone." In the interrogation room late that night at 12 o'clock, Deputy Head of the Weihai Criminal Police Detachment Zhang Zhihao continued the grueling battle with Hao Jinsai. Finally, as if making a great resolution, Hao Jinsai said, "Fine, I'll tell the truth. I threw all that gold, platinum and jewelry into the sea." His attitude seemed extremely sincere. Deputy Head Zhang exchanged a glance with Deputy Director Zhong Chun and temporarily halted the interrogation. Zhongchan analyzed. The chance that he actually threw the loot into the sea is extremely slim. This is most likely another one of his tricks. But given the current situation, let's treat his statement as true for now and test it. See what he says when the time comes. It was high tide at the time. Gaizhou police immediately inquired about the tide schedule. The relevant department informed them that low tide would occur the next morning at 9 a.m. on the 21st, when the new tide would begin. The next day, Deputy Director Zhong Chun led a small team escorting Hao Jinsai, with team members carrying borrowed mine detectors, to search for the gold and jewelry in the sea off Gaizhou. At exactly 9 a.m. on the 21st, the recovery team arrived on time and assembled by the seaside. Behind Zhongchun lay the vast blue sea. He said to Hao Jinsai, who was squatting nonchalantly on the beach, "Hao Jinsai, where exactly did you throw those items?" Hao Jinsai answered very earnestly, "I threw them all into the sea near the fishing port pier." Zhongchun looked out and noticed a concrete beam from a construction project lying across the beach near the fishing port pier. If Hao Jinsai had really thrown the loot into the sea as he claimed, that beam might have prevented it from being washed away by the tides. It was late September, and the temperature in Gaizhou had already dropped significantly. The seawater was bone-chillingly cold. As the officers waded in to search, their feet turned red and numb from the freezing water. Some had their feet cut by rocks in the sea, and the icy salt water made the pain unbearable. After nearly 2 hours of searching, they had only brought up yellow sand, no sign of the gold and jewelry. The facts proved Zhong Qin's analysis correct. Hao Jinsai had indeed been playing games. "Hao Jinsai, how exactly did you throw them?" Deputy Director Zhong asked sternly. Hao Jinsai gestured dramatically and said, "I grabbed a handful and threw it into the sea, then another handful and threw that in too." "When did you do this?" "Around noon, I think." Zhongchan stood on the seawall with a grim expression and cold gaze, staring at the vast, boundless sea for a long time. He surveyed the surroundings. The pier was bustling with activity, and many workers were laboring at the nearby construction site. Anger surged in his heart. Zhongchan said gravely to Hao Jinsai, "Hao Jinsai, you are lying outright. At noon the dock workers were all working. Do you expect anyone to believe you stood there in broad daylight, in full view of everyone, throwing stolen goods into the sea?" Back in the interrogation room, Hao Jinsai grew impatient and said, "I told you I gave everything to Zhu Jingmei for safekeeping, but you don't believe me. What else can I do? I had no choice but to lie and say I threw it in the sea. If you believe what I'm saying now, it's all true. I really did give it all to Zhu Jingmei." The interrogation reached another deadlock. At 9 p.m. on the 20th, investigators arrested Li Zhengxin in a dance hall in Gaizhou. New intelligence indicated that Jin Songgui had fled to Dalian. Gaizhou police contacted Dalian police, who actively cooperated and were intensifying searches for Jin Songgui in hotels, bars, and dance halls across the city.